When God decides it's time to elevate you as a narcissistic abuse survivor and forever end those cycles of pain for you, you go through some of the most difficult times in your life. You go through phases that can feel like walking on fire. You feel all the things from hopelessness to depressed, sadness, and finally enlightened. Where does this pain come from? It's by the virtue of the process of seeing the truth for what it is. Think of living in an illusion in a fantasy world where you have justified the actions of the narcissist, or you have justified the way you are, that yes, I am worthless because of the trauma history, and that feels your reality. And somebody comes in, they don't simply tell you, oh no, you are worthy. They show you. And it is such a sight that you can't ignore it. You have to accept it as the truth. Yes, that brings in a lot of relief, but at the same time, it is rude awakening. It destroys all the false constructs that you were forced to believe in. It shows you that the shame you have been carrying for eternity was alien and was forced on you because they didn't want to carry it. It was simply projection. This process is so transformative yet painful that it incorporates the ultimate truth into your vision, thus expanding you as a human being. What truth am I talking about? Let's find out in today's episode. I'm Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. The topic for this one is 3 stages you go through when God decides to elevate you as a narcissistic abuse survivor. We're going to talk about a rude awakening process that I've been personally through and I've witnessed a lot of people going through. So stay until the very end if you are spiritual and would like to make meaning of what's going on with you. Number 1, spiritual turmoil. This is the kind of a pain that exceeds psychological pain. Because when you are psychologically tormented, you are struggling with the effects of gaslighting, manipulation, self-doubt, so on and so forth. Spiritual turmoil is different. It is that voice, your authentic self, the divine being trying to speak to you through the occurrences that you're a part of, the experiences that act like a mirror, showing you clearly that no, you have been living a lie. The narcissist is as bad as he or she seems to be. You can't be justifying their actions anymore. There are a lot of synchronities that become unavoidable. For example, suddenly a friend from their workplace reaching out to you and telling you about all their stuff, their dirty laundry that they have been hiding for a very long time, or you finding clue of something fishy going on in their bank accounts with the way they have been moving money around and spending it in suspicious activities. The point that I'm trying to make is you long for your own self, homecoming. You long for this oneness with the truth. You want to know what's exactly going on, which is why every single event in your life seems to be interrelated, as if trying to scream a truth at you. And that is, it's time for you to wake up. It gets your attention, and when it does so, it becomes very painful. As I said earlier, it becomes unavoidable. You can't ignore it when those patterns emerge. You evolve. With evolution comes change, expansion. And as you know, change is always painful. While you're going through the process of spiritual turmoil, you also understand that everything you have been forced to believe in was nothing but a societal or a cultural construct. Something they normalize, but is not normal at all. You see dysfunction everywhere, and it boils your blood to see the evil of narcissism being so common. Everybody has it like common cold. And that is where this pain exceeds its limits, which pushes you into the stage number 2, spiritual silence. This is the stage where you do not talk much. Yes, you may not have changed your circumstances. Yes, you may be still living with that narcissist, or the partner or the parent, does not matter, but you are silently observing. Nothing is impacting you. You don't have to pretend calmness anymore. It becomes a natural part of your being, your existence. Because at this point, you do not only recognize, but deeply realize the truth, which is there is no point in fighting back because you're fighting fakeness. You're fighting somebody else's battle. The narcissist never chose to step in and confront their darkness. and they have been projecting it on you, you won't do that on their behalf. You won't keep them away from their demons. It's their responsibility. What happens next is nothing less than a miracle. At a subconscious level, you're already rewiring that programming. You are recognizing your worth in bits and pieces. Yes, you can see the full picture forming, but you can't grasp it yet. You know at the same time it is there. You can feel self love when you take a stand for yourself in situations that used to control you, where you used to be silent and go on with the flow like everybody else, because that is what you were raised to do. That is what you were programmed to do. You are actually starting to escape the matrix. So your silence manifests into spiritual action, which changes the course of your life. Because as you do this more, you piss off a lot of people. Some of these people are narcissists and they do not want you to rock the boat, and others like to be in the slumber because they do not want to escape the matrix. It's painful to wake up. It's painful to recognize that they have been carrying the burden for centuries and they have to do this work now. It is painful to just break that pattern, to counter justify the justifications and say, no, I'm not going to sugarcoat this anymore. I'm not going to step into denial just because it's painful for me. I'm going to see it for what it is. And that's why you become a big nuisance for many folks, which increases the chances of being attacked everywhere. I created an episode recently in which I said, no matter how much you heal, you are going to bother narcissists. And this is the core cause. This is the reason why. The light within that was suppressed by the trauma starts to shine out. And you cannot only see it, but feel it expanding to every limb of yours. Your silence becomes deafening for these demons because God or that spiritual being starts talking through your actions. You become a living transformation for yourself and for others. This is where you might feel a bit in limbo because many things do not move easily. Sometimes the change may feel really slow, but be patient with yourself because you are moving mountains. The only thing that makes it different is the invisibility of it, how it is hidden in plain sight. And you can feel that change if you wanted to by just closing those eyes, sitting with yourself, and letting that silence be your best teacher. Stage number 3, and the most important one, spiritual awakening. You may think stage 3 is all roses, gardens, and beauty. No, I'm sorry to say, spiritual awakening is the most painful thing in my experience that any person can ever go through because of internal and external isolation. Let's expand on each. External isolation. Due to the changes happening inside of you, you do not want to communicate, you don't want to shallow talk, you don't want to connect with others on a surface level. Moreover, as I said, you piss off a lot of people, so they isolate you. You don't want to be a part of those gossip circles. You don't want to just talk about stuff that's basic, that does not inspire folks to ask questions like, why are we here? What is the purpose? What are we doing? What does this lead to? What is the end goal? How do we change things? And how do we contribute to the collective transformation of what we call the human race? You start liking your own company. And that internal chaos is triggered by a sense of isolation. You may think in stage 3, you feel closer to God. You do, but there are times when you simply feel disconnected. You question the existence of God Himself. Is there a divine being? Why? Why am I going through all of this? There's a concept called the dark night of soul. That's what describes this abyss. It feels like a free fall, and there is no stop to this pain. And you have this one scary question to ask: what does it mean? Was any of this real? So your ego becomes visible to you. You recognize what you are not, and that is when you channel the actual energy. The peace starts settling you like sand settles at the bottom of a vessel in water. That's exactly what happens with the chaos inside of you. It settles and clarity comes in. After all of this internal change comes in self-realization, where you know who you are, why you are here, and what you God to do next. It's purely inspired by the divine being, by God. And you keep getting guidance in the form of visions and in the form of dreams, synchronities, the messages that you receive from other people, your guides, anything to help you. But there is always help available. Simultaneously, you leave the narcissist, solutions appear like they appeared for me. When it was the right time for me to leave my narcissistic family, doors opened miraculously. I knew I had to leave. And no matter how much I wanted to live in the same reality, nearer to my mother, I was kicked. I was thrown out. Situations were turned against me, and I hated God at that moment. Like, why are you putting me through this? Why? What have I done? Because at that time I did not know or had not fully realized the level of toxicity I was a part of. But then now I can see why. Because I had to be here. I had to be pain free. If my suffering needed to end, I had to leave. That was the only way. So it all makes sense. That is the ending of spiritual awakening, or should I say expansion. You keep growing from there onwards. Triggers are naturally neutralized, and there is peace, there is joy, there is awe, there is interest, there is wonder, not just happiness that you get to experience. Let me know in the comments if you have been through these stages yourself, because this is purely experiential and beyond the realm of psychology behind narcissistic abuse. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.